everybody hear me? Yes. Do you have people still in the restrooms?
Yeah, we're huge, very big one of the biggest ones there is.
It's okay, you can make the start.
Okay, well, yes, still have some people. I'll let you guess.
It should be on you.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Come down, take a seat. I was told, somebody told me. What? Southern Kids! יש עוד חבר'ה בשירותים? Well, it's a mixed group. Can everybody, I'm going to sort of like stand over here and the wind will carry my voice. Can everybody in the back hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just gonna, I think there's some more people there. Because the most important thing to a place like this is to know what's unique. This is really a unique place. Wait, there's still a line at the bathroom.
Yeah, just make a start.
לחכות להם? I'm going to be patient.
Hello.
What? My name is Alex.
Alex.
Hi, Alex.
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Josie. Oh, yeah, I was wondering.
Okay.
Can we stop?
Yeah, start.
Okay, stop.
So I start. I don't like the technology. So if nobody hears me, start. So I'm going to start off. Welcome to Kibbutz Misgavam. We are the most northern kibbutz in Israel. We are standing at 845 meters, and which is about 2,800 feet for those of you who speak feet. Some of you used to speak feet, but now you speak meters.
Yeah.
So you can check me. I want to orient you geographically. North, and below us is the Lebanese village of Eladesa. And if I follow along the left side of the valley, where you can see the cloud shadows, there's the village of Markila. And if I go up on the left ridge, there's the Christian town of Marjayum. On the right side of the valley, there's a mixed town called El Khiyam. That's to our north. Our west, again below us is the village of Eladesa. On the saddle of the mountain over there is the village of Taibe. I'm going to continue due west. I'm going to get to the city of Tyre and the Mediterranean Sea. Okay? To our east is the Hula Valley. The mountain over there covered with clouds right now is the Hermon Mountain. Golan Heights, Syria, etc., etc. To our south is Israel. We're basically located in what's known as the Finger of the Galilee. It's a peninsula of Israel sticking into Lebanon. It's best to imagine it like that. That's why it's called the Finger of the Galilee. The most northern village that we can see from here, the most northern town where the red and white antenna is the town of Metula. And that is the most northern point in Israel. We're about 8 kilometers to the south. I can't remember how many miles that is. What's unique about our kibbutz, I don't know if you know what a kibbutz is, but maybe we'll get to that a little bit quickly. What's unique about our kibbutz is several things. First of all, we share the kibbutz with the army. This is also an army base. You can look around. We have some cameras, bunkers over here. You see the rocks, the piled rocks. Those are bunkers. Those are still in use. And air conditioners. No air conditioners. Communication. It's not cellular telephone. That's not our cellular telephone tower. That's an army tower. As you came up, you see where your bus came from. There was another group of antennas. I don't even know what they do. And in addition, we have about 20 soldiers in the kibbutz. the second most unique thing is you will see no other place on the Lebanese border with this commanding view of Lebanon. There's no other place like this. And that's partially why this place was chosen. The kibbutz was formed in 1945 by ex-fighters of the Palmach, which was a paramilitary organization during the British Mandate of Palestine. They chose this place. There were no roads, no cars. They climbed up the mountains. Picked this place because of the strategic importance. And what defined the boundaries everywhere in Israel, what defines the boundaries of the state of Israel is where you have civilian settlements. Where the army is, they leave. Where there's a civilian settlement, that defines the border. And I don't know if you noticed, but right over this fence over here, right over the fence is the border at the end. You're in another country. Below us, and I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but below us, I like to call it the front line with Iran. This is Iran here. Why do I say this is Iran? Because the Hezbollah, Party of God in English, they're in charge. They run everything. They run the hotels. They run the hospitals, not hotels. There are no hotels here. They run the hospitals. They run the schools. They run the public works departments. They run everything. Can everybody hear me back there?
Yes, it's very good.
They run everything. The Lebanese government is almost non-existent here. Doesn't exist. You might have now a couple of Lebanese soldiers, but they don't do anything. They're there for show. Below us, the people that are in charge of the Hezbollah. I want to sort of give you a little bit of history, and I want to start out by saying that it wasn't always like this. Southern Lebanon is a country that's made up of different groups. You have Maronite Christians, you have Armenians, you have Greek Orthodox Christians, you have Shiite Muslims, you have Sunni Muslims, you have Druze. It's all different communities that are living under a state, and that's called the state of Lebanon. In Lebanese law, the president has to be a Christian, the prime minister has to be a Sunni Muslim, and the speaker of the parliament has to be a Shiite Muslim. And it worked very well for many years. And I'm even going to go as far as to say that between this kibbutz and the town of Eladesa below us, historically, there were very good relations. It was even like a cup of, if somebody was missing something, there would even be barter here. There was no border fence. There were no mines. Had a fence about this high. And they would come and work their fields here, and people were actually in contact and good neighborly relations. And from that to the front line with Iran, what happened? And I'll sort of give you a little bit of history. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you a little bit of history. After the 1948 War for Independence, there was a large exodus of Palestinian refugees to the area of Beirut. They settled in refugee camps, and they were not allowed to become citizens of Lebanon. And this is in contrast to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, which after the 1948 war annexed the West Bank, and all the Palestinians living there were Jordanian citizens. They were accepted, and they became part of the country. That was not the case in Lebanon. But in any event, through the 1950s, 1960s, everything was quiet. And then something happened, and that something is called Black September. Black September, for those of you who can remember, was the civil war in Jordan, when the PLO, which I'm just going to remind you was formed in 1965, before 1967, before there was an occupation of the West Bank, it was formed in 1965. They sort of set up their own state within a state there. And they were attacking Israel, and Israel reprised, and at some point, His Majesty King Hussein had enough, and there was a war. He killed a couple of thousand and sent them to Lebanon. And then the PLO in southern Lebanon set up their own state within a state. And the result of that was basically the same result of what happened in Jordan. There were attacks from southern Lebanon into Israel, whether it be infiltrations and later rocket attacks. There was also hostility from the local population. And as a matter of fact, the Lebanese Civil War, which started, I think it was in 1975, 1976, it started between a fight between the Christians, a Christian militia, and the PLO in Beirut. We had nothing to do with it. Okay. We had nothing to do with it. Forget about it. It's awful. They're slaughtering anybody who doesn't believe in what they believe in. Okay? They slaughter other Muslims. They slaughter everybody. So what happened is that eventually, you get attacks. Israel replies, attacks. Israel replies, and I would say in the 1970s, from a peaceful border, we're talking about 20-some-odd thousand rocket attacks during this time period into the Galilee. And all of you are from Western countries. I grew up in a Western country. I want you to understand that a generation of children here grew up in bomb shelters. And that's something that I have children, you have children. Imagine growing up in a bomb shelter and that being a normal part of life. When I come and speak to you about it, because now I have children and we also have bomb shelters, I never really thought about it until I talked to you and I have to explain what's going on here. The first major Israeli military campaign was in 1978. It was called the Litani Operation. And Israel went into the Litani River, and the Litani River over here is close to it. It's over the village of Taivet. Behind this mountain, it sort of turns northeast and continues that way. And Israel conquered Lebanese territory up to the Litani River. And there were two results of that. First of all, was the real formation of the South Lebanese Army. Before that, there were contacts between the Christian community in southern Lebanon and Israel. And then there was a Lebanese major, his name was Saad Haddad. He was a Christian major in the Lebanese army. He defected, came over here to live close to Israel because the Palestinians, it was unbearable. And he set up the South Lebanese army. The South Lebanese army was basically run by the Christians, but in addition to Christians being in this militia, you had Shiite Muslims from here who didn't like the Palestinians that much either. You had Druze, which is a sect. I don't know if you got into it. They're a sect of Shiite Islam, and you had the Christian community, and they were all together working in the South Lebanese army. The next thing that was formed was UNIFIL. UNIFIL is what the abbreviation is: the United Interim Force in Lebanon. We call them the United Nothings.
Yeah, we do too.
I want you to look over there. You see that tower? For those of you who can see. That's the United Nations, okay? That's a red and white flag that belongs to Indonesia. Now, I don't have anything against Indonesians, but when you have a peacekeeping force, they have to be neutral. They have to have relations with both sides. They have to be in relations with both sides. Indonesia is a Muslim country, and last time I checked, Israel doesn't have diplomatic relations with Indonesia. I don't think they like us very much there. That's who's guarding. Those are the peacekeepers. Anyways, after the Litani operation, Israel went out. In 1982, there was another invasion. It was called Peace for the Galilee. Excuse me, I should have turned this off. Okay. Operation Peace for the Galilee. Israel invaded into Beirut, then wiped them to get the PLO out of Lebanon after continued rocket attacks. Between this time period, I'm just going to go back 2 years. In 1980, what led to this war were many, many attacks. One of them occurred in this kibbutz. Where that camera is now, on 1980, the second in Passover, for those of you who don't know,